just filling a campground, so that's a little rough. It's kind of nice having gas powered vehicles. Be nice to have I was even thinking just having a trailer would be nice, because you could have the same thing that we have.
Yeah.
If you have a good truck, that unfortunately I don't have a good truck. My truck is just dying.
Yeah.
But if you had a half decent truck, you could just replace your truck. You'd have everyone sitting in the truck, you know, when you travel. And that's another problem, is I can't fit the whole family in the truck. But
Yeah.
I think that's probably a pretty good thing to do. Because if we had a trailer, we could park the trailer somewhere and just drive the truck up to the, you know, at the gunks. So I don't know, but yeah.
This will be good. I can't wait to see the adventures of your. Obviously, it needs a name. Like, it can't be.
I know. I was thinking that our camper needs a name. Yeah, Marla wants to do something on just like traveling with kids. Actually, she was like, yeah, we should talk. I would love to come on with you and Jackie and just talk about traveling with kids, because I mean, you deal with traveling with kids too sometimes. It's definitely more difficult. It's so much easier. Like when I went to the Red like a month ago, and I was just in my truck with the small camper on the back, it was so nice. I was loving it. Just sleeping in that, just, you know, park wherever, and easy to drive.
The level of stress just totally dissipates.
Yeah, have the kids.
I definitely can't say that I don't enjoy.
I gotta say, our kids did pretty good, because we were really concerned, because this is the first trip for the longest time, and there wasn't any crazy screaming outbursts or anything, because sometimes one of our kids gets a little bit loud. But no, it worked out really good. I was kind of nervous about that, like being in a campground with the kids screaming, but no, the kids did really well. So that was,
I think that's
kind
a
of a
really
relief.
Good subject to touch down on at some point, for sure. And you know, I think a lot of climbers go through that. A lot of climbers with families go through that. You know, it's just interesting because Mike Feinberg, the climber that owns our gym, he's super climber. I mean,
yeah, he's good.
Talk about like the hardest grades you can climb at the gunks, and he's doing them. You know, he always has to mitigate this, like, when his family comes up. This is like, okay, I'm going to climb that.
Does he have kids?
He has 2 kids. Yeah.
Does he? Wow.
Yeah, and they're little. And sometimes his wife comes up, and sometimes she doesn't. And but it's interesting when you're hearing, like, even like the women who have to, like, or men who have to kind of, you know, be the parental person when climbing's happening. In your case, you know, you guys are each other's climbing partner, and you're parenting, and
yeah, we do a lot of tricks that I don't think most people know, other than if they've watched us. Like, we use the 100-meter rope, so we can do pretty much 2 pitches. I can trad climb 2 pitches, hit the anchor, come back down, so one of us is on the ground to kind of watch the kids. And then actually now Ayala will climb anything that we climb. Like, I don't think I could climb a hard enough trad that Ayala can't climb it now. So she'll climb all the way up the climb. Zion likes to just play around. He'll climb, you know, 15, 20 feet, depending on how hard it is. And he does, you know, he does better at home, because he can actually lead at home. He's been taking lead falls and stuff like that, and he's been digging it. For a 3-year-old, that's pretty impressive.
Awesome.
But yeah, when it comes to being outside, he gets a little freaked out, like, you know, 20 feet up. He's like, ah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ayala's just doing really good. She basically climbed everything we did.
That's awesome.
You know, no problem at all. So yeah, but I didn't do anything too crazy this weekend. I really had my eyes set for this one climb, and it was supposed to be this classic 5-7, but it was like I was gonna do it all in one rope and then come down. It was 3 pitches. But the second pitch is a complete traverse. And I'm like, oh man, this is going to turn into a mess.
This is gonna end bad.
Yeah. Because like I totally thought I could pull it off, and then I got up there and I'm like, oh, this isn't going to be good, because I'd have to like run things out and have like weird spots where you could fall and swing really weird. So I was just like, I did the first pitch and I went up to another anchor and then I came down. And that's what it
that's
turned
kind
into.
of like my thing with traverses in climbs. Like when we talked about thin air,
Yeah.
that traverse wasn't hard, but when your leader doesn't place any protection, you think like the whole time I was thinking, if I fall,
Yeah.
this is gonna be a ride.
There's
like,
not much you can place on that from what I remember.
There isn't.
Yeah.
There isn't. And then like
there's a couple of spots, but yeah, there's not much on that traverse.
oh my goodness. It was, it's just, that's what went in my head. I can climb hard face climbs all day. You put me on a traverse, even like that easy, and I'm like a little kitten. I'm just scared. But
there's a really good one up here at Seneca. So we've done the green wall together. Do you remember the green wall? It's kind of like right in the middle there on the right side. Well, I don't know if you remember, but there's this huge roof that traverses out and then goes up. Seth and I actually did that. It's like a classic 7 or an 8 or something.
Okay.
And it looks impossible. And if you've ever done the green wall, you looked over and you're like, oh my God, I climbed. But you actually do it and it's actually really mellow. But it's just like this traverse. The second pitch is traverses underneath the roof, like totally underneath the roof, and then it goes up. And the third pitch actually is better than the second pitch, but everyone just knows it for the second pitch because it's this crazy traverse underneath the roof. But you can actually maybe see it in the picture. It's because you can see the white spot on the right side. That's where the green wall is. And there's a little spot that's like a roof there, and then it shoots up. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a good climb, but it's something you definitely have to pitch that out. You have to go up the first pitch, second pitch, third pitch. But yeah, they have a lot of interesting climbs on the wall. But yeah, there's a lot of people, up there.
I guess is Seneca like filling in the way the Gunks is? I mean, it doesn't seem as developed line-wise.
Yeah, it's not as crazy. I think it's just far. It's in the middle kind of nowhere. So all the climbers are coming from certain areas. And a lot of times, if they're not going to, Seneca has really weird weather too. It's not usually nice there. It's hard to get a nice weekend. The new and the red, you get better weekends. The new's feels like a little worse than the red when it comes to rain. The red,
there's something about that
seems to be drier. But Seneca, like every weekend I'll check out Seneca and be like, oh, nope, that's out of the question. Like the Gunks is nice. It's usually pretty dry. It gets a little hot during the summer, but not even that bad. So it's one of the nicer spots. But yeah, it's not. I don't think it's overcrowded at Seneca yet. That probably will change in a few years because I think really climbing is loaded.
Yeah, I think track climbing's just picking up speed, and like places like the new and the red are awesome sport crags for the most part. I mean, you can do some trad there, but once people really start moving in that direction, they might not. Like I feel like the climbing world's also changing in terms of this love for indoor climbing, this deep passion for bouldering. It just seems to be trending that way. Like bouldering seems to be the sport of choice when it comes to climbing, which is interesting to see. I mean, we've all just been rope climbers. I mean, I've just been a rope climber. Kids hate it.
Yep. I mean, when I started, it was all trad. I mean, the gym was kind of a joke when I started back in 94-ish. Right. I mean, going to the gym, because it was PRG, it was the only gym. I think they have, 6 gyms? They have Malvern now or something. But it was just the one gym. And when you go in, it had like ropes on both sides. It was all top rope. There really wasn't any leading at all. They had like some bolts, but there's only one kid that would lead, and that was Sketch. He was the only kid actually leading. No one else led, and there was no bouldering because no one bouldered it, that period of time. I almost feel like PRG almost started the bouldering thing. They had a really small wall, and then they were expanding it, and then they kind of built this into like some kind of bouldering thing, and that's when I think it really grew, and I think it helped the gym out a lot because I think a lot of people would sit there and watch stuff, and it was all good.
No, I agree. I sometimes think the bouldering has become more of a thing because it's not less cumbersome, but it takes less to learn. Like it's still hard, but there's not as much that goes into it. It's not as high risk, like this idea of like multi-pitching and building anchors and buying gear and all this stuff. When it comes to something like bouldering, you're talking about like a crash pad, a good pair of shoes, and location, right?
Actually, it's probably like the one thing where you are going to get hurt, but you're not going to die. It's everything else,
the risk level climbing is so much different, right? Yeah. So I think that I genuinely think that that's more of that reality. It's just that fear of death is almost depleted when it comes to climbing versus like when you and I both know when you're a couple 100 feet up in that air, you're kind of like, I question like,
yeah, it's all about
like 90 feet up in the air. At that point, you're just
hoping your gear doesn't rip out of the wall. Yeah.
Your gear, like everything's gonna go well. And honestly, the last rappel of the day for me is like this sigh of relief because that means it's just been a really awesome day and everybody's walking away. And I think sometimes with trad climbers and sport climbers and just old school climbers, there's a complacency that takes place. And that's when the sport becomes inherently dangerous. It's this really new, and it's this complacency. And I think that that's where our errors as trad climbers or rope climbers come in. So.
Yeah, I have a weird thing of like, I don't know if I do it as much anymore, but I'd always be like 15, 20 feet up on a climb. And I'm just like, did I tie in? I'm just like, it's always like, I'm always double checking, which is probably a good thing because mistakes have happened. Take Lynn Hill where she forgot to finish or not. And we've had people at the gym, who've forgotten to tie their knots and stuff. But it's one of those things where it's just like, yeah, you want to make sure that that's tied.
That is a real thing. I tied my knot wrong once. That was like when I first started climbing. Remember that day at PRG? And I had to down climb that whole like wall. But like, it's just been habitual. It's like not, lock. But I also think it happens on those GT ledges, right? Like.
Yeah, what's funny? The soloing definitely helps with that because you always feel like if things go wrong, I could always solo. Like I could always switch to solo mode. If you don't have that in your if you're not used to soloing and something goes wrong with your knot, you panic and you just freak out, which is the worst thing you can do. I always feel like if things go absolutely wrong, I can always just switch to solo mode.
At a certain point, like you don't have much of a choice, right?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is you don't have a choice if something goes deadly wrong. Like say your knot's not tied and just something happens. Your options are limited, and if you freak out, that's not a good thing.
No.
So.
I think I would try to like place a piece of gear somewhere and just clip right into my belay lobe.
Yeah. Yeah.
But these mistakes happen. Not too long ago, it happened at Birdsboro. Somebody decked from the anchors because like something went wrong, and it's like You know, it's as simple as like cleaning anchors. You and I do that system where we're never untying, and other people are untying and retying, and other people use weird anchor methods. And it's like, I kind of like just appreciate that old school, like you have a sling or two on your harness and you know, clip it in.
Yeah.
And but people have been doing it, it's just constantly changing. And I think like the way people are learning is different, right? Like it's not I think it's become more reckless.
I don't know. I don't know if, yeah, I think what you were saying before is just like you become so used to doing things that you don't even think about it. I think that's where the mistakes happen because, you know, it's not, I mean, Lynn Hill was like, you know, she's just, you know, she's climbed a million climbs before that. And it was that one time she forgot to finish the knot or whatever when she fell at the gunks. Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, things can happen like that.
It's just that easy.
Yeah.
Yep.
But all right. Well, I don't even know how long we've been talking. Probably too long. But
You're gonna have to clip the video.
do you remember? Yeah, I might be making two videos out of it. Do you remember climbing Ecstasy on the right side up here on
Yes,
Seneca?
I do. I do remember. What's that, like a 5/8?
7 maybe, 7 or 8 maybe. I forget. I think
Yeah.
it's a 7. But we did it totally wrong. Because like Seth and I did it the correct way. That's where I took that huge 40-foot fall. So the you know, like I think it's supposed to be like 4 pitches almost. So it's like you can pitch it up onto that first part and then go up to that next part. We did that all in one pitch anyway. And then you're supposed to traverse way out to the right. We used to kind of go up and then end up on like Ecstasy Junior, and that's like totally wrong.
Yeah.
It's supposed to go way out to the right, and then that last pitch is really cool, and that's where I took that huge fall on because that guy was stuck up there for hours. He must have been up there because we didn't even know they were up there. We had no clue they were up there at all. So we started the you know, the first 2 pitches, and then Seth led that next pitch. And we went over there and we just went, oh, there's other people on this wall. They were on there the whole time that we did the last 3 pitches. And this one guy was just stuck there. And I'm just like, well, I'm going to make up a new route here. That didn't go so well. I had a piece in and yeah, I fell and it came flying out of the wall. And I'm just like, because I like stopped. It's like one of those things where you fall, you stop, and then you just continue to fall. And you're like, well, how long is this going to happen? And then finally I caught. And I was like, whoa. It's one of those things that would scared you out of the mind if you were going to do it on purpose up there, but it just happened. So you're just like, whatever. So I just went back up. And I think I scared him enough to keep going. That guy started up and he actually finished that pitch. So I kind of did it the correct way after that. So that was a lot of fun. I was on fire that day. I was like falling right and left. I was like, you know, I never fall. Cool, not that day. Because I did the burn then after that climb. And I did the whole burn up into Ecstasy Junior all in one pitch. I think we had a 60-meter rope, and I think I ran out of rope at the very top. And yeah, I took there's a one crux with a pin, and I went up and came flying off onto that pin. So yeah. So, Andrew.
Andrew. Is that Andrew? It's Andrew.
So all right, we should probably call this because we've been going. Hey, what's up, man?
Hey.
We've been going for quite a while.
Yeah.
I think I got 2 episodes out of this. At least. What did I say? 20 minutes? I think we've been going almost an hour.
Yeah, there's probably some really good stuff, like clips in there, I'm sure.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to get more onto some climbing news. I printed out some climbing news, but I realized that half of it's missing.
So. You should send me the climbing news prior, and then I can read it, and then you know, we can talk about like those things too. That would be awesome.
Anything you need to plug or anything?
Yeah, I need a plug. No.
Do you have any Instagram or anything like that? I don't know.
I can get one. You know, I do think that like we should do something where we interview people like Mike Feinberg.
Yeah, Yeah, I actually talked to Mike about doing that, and then COVID happened, and then, you know,
yeah, because you
I
can
haven't
just
talked to him yet.
zoom in, you know.
Yeah, I would love
Or
to talk to Mike.
if you did like the van session, like people like John Miller who have like traveled, or Seth who have traveled. By the way, you know, Andrew Izzo sent a 514A at the new.
Andrew that worked at Rock and Snow.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. No, Andrew was also, he was an incredible climber. Yeah, I've always known he was a good
So you
climber.
got a 514.
What do you do? Climb one of the
The
Ozone? Oh, where is it at?
New River Gorge.
Was it a sport climb or a trad? I'm
It was
guessing sport. Yeah.
Mike Feinberg, I think, did Ozone.
Yeah.
Um,
Is he working on Brozone or something?
yeah, he's working on something up there because he's been up there the past couple of weekends.
He was working on that, but I'm so out of like
are.
what everyone's climbing now, especially with this whole COVID situation.
Yeah.
I haven't been to a gym. I keep on talking about going with like Corey, but I don't know.
I'm there all the time. We go. We have a good group of people that we're all together, and some people that usually I go outside with now, and it's good.
Sounds good. Yeah, I gotta get
awesome, there. Dude. We went down to the new like 2 weekends ago, and one of the Romanians came. That dude's an animal. He's 47.
The old school guys, or are you talking about someone else? You're talking about the old school guys from PRG? Feinberg probably knows them.
The Romanian competitors back in the day.
Yeah.
Paul and John.
Like him and his wife that used to climb like super hard stuff.
Yep, that's John. And then Paul, I don't think his wife climbs, but
I only know the couple that climbed. There's.
And they have the daughter Maya. She leads like 512s in the gym, and she's 8. It's insane. Yeah. So
don't they have a gym though or something? He
owns a gym, but the walls aren't as high.
It's in Jersey or something. Is that the
yep.
couple?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right now they're all down at the new.
Makes sense. Yes.
Yeah.
We always see people in the Madness Cave doing crazy stuff. Yes. It's great that Seth got a red point on that.
It's awesome.
Impressive. All right.
Is he back home? I saw that he was coming home.
Yeah, he was home to vote, I think, and now he went back to the no. I think he's probably going to stay there. I don't know why he'd come back. There's no rocks here.
Don't blame him. No reason to be here. So
no social media for you?
Any social media? You know, just come find me at Ridge. Actually, sorry. The factory, the Reach like edition.
Oh yeah, I heard he's like expanding. Is that going to have any climbing, or is that just going to be all workout equipment?
There is going to be climbing. Actually, I get to be trained to set, which I'm really excited about there. And then, you know, that's what we'll be coaching all of the team kids out of. But it's a pretty cool setup.
Is it already set up, or is he still working on it?
It's still working on it, but they're aiming for January 1st.
Gotcha.
So I think everybody should stop by and check that out. You know, and see what it's all about. But I think it's going to be a really neat training gym. Especially if you're a big boulder.
Yeah. Everyone check Jackie out at Reach. And I am on Gunkclimber, Instagram. What else do I have? Instagram, Patreon, and YouTube, which you're probably watching this on anyway. So you found my channel already.
Yeah, I have Instagram, but you got to find me.
All right. Well, we will call it there. All right.